welcome. Here we go. Happy Monday. It is Matt Connarton Unleashed for Monday, April 6, 2020. I have to stop and think because it's still very, very odd doing this pre-recorded. Jenny is here with me. Hello.
Hello.
We are, of course, in case you don't know, we, of course, now record the show every week and then air it during our normal time slot from 4 to 6 p.m. From the studios of WMNH. But we are not at the studios of WMNH 95.3. We are at home because there is a stay-at-home order. So we are recording this very, very early on a Monday morning so that I can then email this to the wonderful Peter White, who is not only the host of the morning show, but is the program director at WMNH, and then he loads it into the computer for prompt airing from 4 to 6 p.m. So welcome, everybody. It's only our second week of doing the show this way, but that is the current regimen.
And if you don't know, now you know.
That's right. There we go.
Oh, no, you found new toys to play with.
Except I don't know if it sounded right because I think the microphone was picking up my headphones when I played that clip. So I think it might have doubled. Let me do it again.
And if you don't know, now you know.
That still sounded really strange in my headphones.
Yeah, you know what else is strange about your headphones?
What?
The way that those headphones, when you pull them up from the back of your head,
Yeah.
have your hair looking like you stuck your finger in an electric socket.
Right. Well, maybe I did.
It's really hard to take you seriously when you do it.
How do you know I didn't do that? You keep telling me I need to get off the caffeine, so I got to find ways to get up for the show.
It doesn't work that way.
It is a different energy doing the show at home.
It's weird.
Yeah, it is. It's very,
weird.
very weird. But we do have some fun stuff planned in the second half of the show today. I'm going to share with you all my recent appearance on the Dr. Kevin Show. The first Thursday of every month, I go on the Dr. Kevin Show, which you can hear on Ohm Times Radio. That's Ohm as in O-M, Ohm. OhmTimesRadio.com. Or actually, I'm sorry, it's ohmtimes.com/IOM. And the first Thursday of every month, I am on the Dr. Kevin Show with Dr. Kevin, and we talk about politics and current events and whatnot. And we had what I thought was a great discussion Thursday of last week. So I'm actually going to share that all with you, and it gives his show a little bit of plug. So that'll be of a plug. So that'll be coming up in hour number 2 of today's Matt Connarton Unleashed. Tomorrow on the show, I have a great musical guest. Eric Marks is going to be joining me by phone, of course, from a safe distance. But Eric Marks, I will be interviewing him, and we'll play some of his new music.
You should have had Dr. Kevin, maybe stick around or do something a little longer, because, maybe he could be the conduit, and then he could facilitate your guest coming to the show.
I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean?
Wasn't Dr. Kevin supposed to be able to tell the future and stuff? Isn't he clairvoyant and can see things?
Mm-hmm.
So shouldn't he be able to be a conduit between you and your guests, so you don't have to have them call in? You can just have it no?
So like a channeling thing.
Yeah.
My guest isn't dead. He's
is that
he's
a requirement?
Alive. He's still
you can
on
only
this...
channel dead people?
I think so. I think that's the idea.
You can only channel dead people?
Yeah, Eric Marks is alive, he's breathing.
So he couldn't see, I think it would be really cool if he could just sit in the middle of a couple of people and facilitate. No?
I don't know what the point would be of that. I think that would be very strange.
Well, what if the power went out? You could have a Dr. Kevin as a backup. It's
but I wouldn't be able to record it if the power went out.
It's the clairvoyant generator. I think we should totally patent that idea.
Do you have any good ideas you'd like to patent?
Oh,
that's just
nice. Go for the jugular.
No, I'm trying to help. I'm being helpful. If you have a good idea, We could patent that. I don't know if there's much point to patenting a terrible idea that doesn't have any value of any
kind. There's a lot of terrible ideas that have made a lot of money in the long run.
Well, I think that's true.
I mean, look at the pogo stick.
Why is that a terrible idea?
I think before people started jumping around on it, if you said that to somebody, oh, I'm going to take a stick and we're all going to jump around it, it'll be fun, they probably would have thought it was a dumb idea. But then he did it, and it turned out to be a really money-making idea instead of a dumb idea.
I don't know if young people even know what a pogo stick is, because no one does that anymore.
Really?
When's the last time you even heard the words pogo stick?
That's true.
Yes.
Oh, God. Jeez. I'm really dating myself now, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Moving along.
Moving along.
By the way, why is it that all these people that come on your show have, like, their own theme music? You know, like, if Texas Mike comes on, you got a song for Texas Mike.
Well, yeah, because he's from Texas.
If Christian comes on, you got a song for Christian. He's only been around for a few months, too, right? Hasn't been that long that Christian's been around. Or is it a year?
A few months. No, it's probably been at least a year, yeah.
Been about a year? Yeah. He's got theme music. A year, yes, a whole year.
Yeah.
Theme music, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, let's see. Everybody's got theme
Dr.
music.
No has theme music now. That was your idea.
That's true, only you played the wrong part of it.
Yeah.
I don't have theme music, though.
Right.
Yeah, why is that? I've only been around for, over 6 years.
Yeah.
Since the beginning.
This
particular show. On this particular station. In this particular time slot. Since the evening drive. I have been here since day one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you want for a theme?
So that's a good question. I've been thinking about that.
Yeah.
It's questionable. I mean, I could go with the old standby. 86793.
Oh, it's so predictable.
I know.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Brown-eyed girl. I do have brown eyes. I don't know. Oh, wow. Nice space there, buddy.
Yeah, I just,
You
no.
constipated?
No.
Passing gas?
Is that a symptom of COVID-19?
I don't know.
Constipation?
I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
But the look on your face was kind of like, unless you were trying to squeeze one out and it kind of came out too much or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, we're not. I'm not on the toilet doing the show. We're just at home. How dare you?
Yeah, you were.
Hmm?
Yeah, you were.
Earlier, yes. Not currently.
Yeah, because you ran out of toilet paper.
What?
You ran out of toilet paper.
When did I run out of toilet paper?
Earlier, you ran out of toilet paper.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I remember hearing you hollering.
No, that wasn't me.
I thought that the other Matt ran and saved the day.
Oh, no.
No?
But
I was imagining that, huh?
But we're not taking any calls because we are not live. So just to remind everyone. And the other thing, too, that I want to make sure we remind everyone is the Hop Knot is open.
Yes.
They're open noon to 7.
Do you know what I did?
Monday through Saturday. And, yeah, well, go ahead because that'll lead into what I want to remind everybody about.
I ordered Hopknot and had it delivered.
Yes.
And I had a yummy, yummy, yummy classic mac and cheese with dessert, of course, my favorite Oreos.
Mm-hmm. And
I even got a bottle of wine delivered.
From the Hop Knot?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Very nice.
Still drinking it.
Yeah. So, is that what you were drinking before you came up with the idea that Dr. Kevin should channel my musical guests and you should patent that?
No,
Okay.
no.
Yeah.
But I have had a lot of, I don't know, I think I have a lot of good chemicals going on in my brain. I've been a little happier despite having to stay inside.
Yeah.
I've been very happy, actually.
Yeah.
You know
Good.
why?
Why?
Because I can see better.
Yeah, why can you see better? Did you have LASIK?
No.
I had LASIK.
I did not. Actually, I had some very not common blood tests.
Uh-huh.
And in doing that, the doctor was able to actually figure out that I have a a really funky rare disease called Lambert-Eaton, and they put me on medication. And I'm a few days into the medication, and it's actually causing my vision to get better.
Excellent.
Did you know I have a hard time seeing at night normally?
Yes.
And you kept telling me it was tired eyes.
Yeah, well, my eyes get tired. My eyes get fatigued.
But that's not what it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was this really weird, funky disease. So it was a really good thing I went and had the test.
Yes.
But it's happy. It's
Well,
joyful. Even though we're stuck in the house, I can still read something at 11 o'clock at night, which is huge to me. So being stuck in the house, I think that would qualify as what you would say is a first world problem, in a sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we certainly have the advantage of, in places where there's far less technology, it's much more miserable.
True.
And also the time, we're very fortunate. We're fortunate that this is happening, this whole thing, where people have to stay inside, that it's happening at this point in our history, because if this had been, say, 25 years ago, pre-internet, there was a lot less to do inside.
I don't know. I disagree with you. If this was pre-internet, I would argue that people knew how to entertain themselves better before the internet. We knew how to draw and to read a book. I mean, how many times could you disappear in the pages of a book?
Yeah.
You couldn't just pop a movie in when you were a kid.
I know what you mean, but the thing is, with technology and with the internet, you can be stuck inside and still remain connected to the world and easily communicate with others.
Very true.
And share how you're feeling on Facebook or whatever, and reach out to people and still feel very connected. Whereas 25 years ago, it would be like, oh crap, I gotta dig out my VHS tapes and maybe watch a movie or you know what I mean. I think we're very, very lucky that this is happening in the era of Netflix and Hulu.
We're lucky, period,
and,
just because of where we live. Just in the sense of, you're right about what you're saying, but I mean, just look at, we're sitting here, we're comfortable, we have internet, we can listen to music, and as you said, watch a movie. Mm-hmm. You've been able to go to the store and get anything that we've needed. So we haven't had to really do without much of anything. And we didn't run out of toilet paper.
Someone's trying to get by over there.
I know. I know. It's a good thing he has tall legs.
Right.
He can reach over things. But seriously, I mean, we I've been painting.
Yeah.
And you even went and got paint supplies for me and did the whole curbside pickup.
Yeah.
Which...
See, that's another thing, too. If you, because of the era that we're in now, you can order things online. Yeah. You can find out if a place, it's so, we really are. It's funny, and it hadn't really occurred to me until just now, but we're very, very lucky that to have this happen in the year 2020, as opposed to, say, the year 1995 or even 2000. We're very, very fortunate in that way.
I didn't even have my first home computer until, I want to think, tail end of 1998, 99. And even back then, as even if you go into 2000, even then, it was dial-up. Mm-hmm. It wasn't very quick. You could only be on for so long. You had a lot more limitations on what you could do online. Yeah. And for the most part, and definitely hands down, everybody who wanted to play games was doing that on their Nintendo. Right. They weren't really doing that online. Or they were doing it with a CD-ROM. Like, I remember when my kid was little, he had this one that was called Freddy the Fish. And it was awesome. And it was amazing to me to see a game that you could interact and make choices. Because to me, that was like the kind of books we used to have when we were kids. Where you get to the point in the story and it tells you, okay, you're going to go down this road or you're going to go see Grandma.
Oh, the choose your own adventure.
Yeah, remember those? Yeah. And I remember seeing one of the, him having that game and being able to do that on screen and how amazed I was at that. But now look, Now you can go online and play a game with somebody halfway around the world.
Mm-hmm.
No
Yeah.
problem. You can have people literally from five different countries
Mm-hmm.
playing the exact same game together online without using any kind of disc. Matter of fact, I don't think no, my current computer doesn't even have a CD-ROM.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those are pretty done.
And I thought
Yeah.
those would never go away.
Yeah.
Of course, we're the generation that was really kind of first introduced to having home computers
Right.
and things. I mean, I can remember having the TRS-80, which, kids
Oh,
or
yeah.
anybody young listening to me
I had
won't
an
know.
Atari 800.
I just remember being taught how to write like 5 words of code that
Yeah,
would say my
basic.
name until infinity.
Yeah.
And, ooh, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Look, my name's on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, we're very fortunate in the era of the internet and the era of cell phones.
Yep. But
It-
you know what? Even with all of this technology, we still have to be careful about being isolated. There are still good things that we should do to check on each other
right.
and help each other through this, because even with the internet and the luxuries of having that, it can be very difficult. Especially, I mean, let's see, I'm 25 days in now to self-isolation. So, if I didn't take time to sit down and have a conversation with you or interact with people, I think I would have a harder time. But I know for some people, this isolation is even more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
That lack of social interaction. But I have to say that there's one community that's found it really interesting to see this human experiment almost, or this human condition that's going on, and that is people who are with me in the chronic pain or chronic illness community. Because many, many people who suffer from a chronic illness live in their homes most of the time. Their normal life is what other people are living right now. And there's a part of us that literally are hoping that people will understand and come away with a better understanding of what it's like to have a hard time getting to go out or not being able to go out. That
Yeah.
makes sense?
Oh, it does. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think you've seen some of the stuff that's been online about that.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
It's a different aspect of what's going on. I mean, there's so many people talking about, how many numbers or what have you, that I think it's kind of interesting to take a look at some of the human aspects that are going on that maybe aren't on the mainstream media.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we're not mainstream. We're mainstream.
Yeah. Well, we're on FM radio.
Yeah, that makes us mainstream.
Um,
Sorry about that. I'm saying sorry to the person who's desperately trying to get around me.
We don't have that problem at the station. I know I said it last week. I'll say it again. It really makes me appreciate what we have at WMNH.
Oh, yeah.
Being in that wonderful radio studio. Obviously, I mean, God only knows how many people, thousands and thousands and thousands of people who, record podcasts and whatnot at home all the time. But there's nothing like being in that radio station.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? Bet you missed that couch now, huh? Don't want to sell it anymore?
Oh, well, I don't care about the couch.
No?
But I mean, being able to sit
No, I
there and
know.
just having everything so it's just so easy. But that's another example, though, of where we're very fortunate in that we also live in an era where you can record or do a live show from your home.
True.
I mean, that's geez, even 10 years ago, that was kind of you could do it, but it was a hassle.
Well, it's
15 years ago, forget it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when you were, it's kind of that we're living that joke that we used to have, that I've seen memes once in a while around here. When we were kids, the teachers would tell us how much we had to learn how to do things in our heads, like addition and subtraction, because, quote unquote, you were not going to have a calculator in your pocket,
Yeah.
all the time. So that's why we were taught, that was the excuse that we were always told. And now it's like, yeah, we have a calculator in our pocket. We have a computer in our pocket.
Yeah.
The new phones have 3 cameras. You see people posting 3D images now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Those are neat.
Yeah.
Those are really neat. captain, Lynn Blankenbecker from the great state of New Hampshire, who's now currently serving on the United States Navy's ship, the Comfort, which is docked out in the New York City. I was looking at her pictures earlier, and she had posted this amazing one of those wide panoramic photos on the deck of the ship, and you could see the skyline and see around the water, and it was just really amazing to be able to see that. And I'm really grateful that she's taken the time to actually share that out and allow us to be able to see a glimpse into what they're doing. She's a nurse, so she's there to take care of people, and we're all grateful to her and to all the people that are out there that are doing that. But it's so neat what we can walk around with in our pocket. And you're right. We all take it for granted now.
Yeah.
We really do.
I would still love to know. You'll have to tell me off air what that first syllable of her name is that we're not allowed, her last name that we're not allowed to say on the air.
Whose name? Oh.
Lynn Blankenbecker. What is, I want to know what the blank is that we can't say in her name.
Oh, really? Oh, my God.
Oh, I've been waiting.
Oh, man.
I've been waiting for years to try to use that joke.
Oh, it's terrible.
Because it's Blankenbecker. Yeah. It's like, so what is it actually? Does it start with F?
Stop.
What is the first syllable of
You're
her name?
terrible. You are terrible. Jeez. Is that why you guys are the Connartons and not the Connartons? You're the R?
What?
Or no, you have the A. Connarton. Because
right.
Everybody else is Connarton with an O. But except your family.
No.
You're the misfits of it.
No. No, if you look up the last
you guys
name
get
Connarton,
killed out of the tribe.
The more common spelling is Connerton.
Really?
Which is how it's pronounced. Yeah, that's the more common one.
I thought the common one was an O.
No.
Huh.
I don't think I've seen it with an O, but Connerton is more common than Conarton. But neither of them is very common. There are not a lot of Connartons. It's actually a really unusual name.
I can relate to that. My maiden name is very unusual, and I've literally never, ever, ever seen anyone with my maiden name outside of people that I have known that were related to me by blood. Not once. All the ancestry stuff, nothing. Can't even come up with it. It's like, did somebody put it together, like the generation before me? I don't know. It's just really weird. I can never find my maiden name anywhere.
Well, okay.
It's Lesagor.
Yeah.
I think it's Greek or Italian. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and of course, introverts are. It's a good time for them not being able to go out and socialize.
However, it's also an interesting time for people who are obsessive compulsive about cleaning, because right now they're sitting there looking at the rest of the world and going, I told you to wear gloves, I told you to wipe stuff off, and look at you now. You have to admit, I bet you Howie Mandel feels justified.
Yeah, he's a germaphobe.
And now everything that he's been a lot about is reality. He probably feels better in this world now, maybe. Not better in the sense that there's a virus, but better in the sense that people are being a lot more cleanly, cleansing things, disinfecting.
Yeah. Oh, probably, yeah. We should do something from my favorite website, rightwingwatch.org. There's a right-wing pastor who says that any coronavirus vaccine is from the pit of hell. So he sounds like an anti-vaxxer.
Worse. He sounds like he's the guy that would run around telling everybody, don't take the polio thing. It's bad.
Yeah, it says here, right-wing pastor Kurt
Landry. You don't need legs.
Posted a video in which he told viewers never to accept any vaccine that is created to prevent the spread of COVID-19 coronavirus because the vaccine will be a precursor to the biblical mark of the beast.
Wait, does that mean... Wait, is that when the horsemen come and, like, one of them's holding his head?
Oh, the four horsemen of the apocalypse?
Yeah, and doesn't one of them, like, hold his head under their arm and chase after people? Like, the head's not on the body, it's under his arm.
I don't know. I always preferred the four horsemen, Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, and put in whatever version you want.
Do you think one of them comes with TP?
I hope so.
Need TP for my bumble.
Ooh. Well, let's listen to Kurt Landry explain. Perhaps he's
really
on to
terrible.
something. Let's. Or I'll play this video. They put a thing at the beginning of every one now, so there's a delay.
I'm telling you right now, do not pray, do not hope, do not think, oh, praise God, they're going to have a vaccine. That vaccine is from the pit of hell, okay?
What'd you say?
Restart that. Did that man actually say do not think?
Oh, I don't know. It's a good policy when you're talking to religious people.
Play that from the beginning one more time for me.
Let's see here. All right.
I'm telling you right now, do not pray, do not hope, do not think, oh, praise God, they're going to have a vaccine. That vaccine is from the pit of hell.
Oh.
Okay? Do not pray for those vaccines and do not take the vaccine. These vaccines are coming. They're not going to be good. They're not good for you physically and spiritually. They're a setup for what shall come later. This is the first step. This is not the mark of the beast. This is not the ID chip. But what will happen with this, and this is the order I believe it will happen in, is they're going to bring this next vaccine and they're going to mark, not in the hand and the forehead, but they're going to have a computer record of everybody who does take the vaccine. But more importantly, they're going to take the ones that do not. And basically the ones that won't take the vaccine will be the Jews and the Christians.
Oh.
Because we have religious issues to not take it. And so what a way to kind of gather those names up and gather those people up. And so then when it does come time for the mark of beast to trade and sell, those that in order to get the mark of the beast, what will happen is in order for them to put the chip in, you're going to have proof and verification that you've had these vaccines. And then if you won't take the vaccines, then you don't get the mark. You can kind of figure out where that goes. Uh-huh. All this is premature. I'm not trying to scare you, but I have to tell you right now, this is where it's going.
Okay.
Do not hope. Do not think. He literally said, do not think.
Well,
do not hope.
I'll say this for him. I mean, that's about as credible an anti-vaxxer argument as I've heard.
Why the hell would you want to not hope?
Well,
do you think he gets a tetanus shot?
Well, you don't want to hope for... No, you don't want to hope for a vaccine. That leads to the mark of the beast.
Morons like this are what are going to cause people to die.
Well, he's just,
He's a moron.
I will say, I mean, with all these mega churches, still holding services and whatnot, if you were to make the argument that religion is destructive, organized religion, and does more harm than good, now would be a good time to make that argument. Now,
Absolutely.
I don't make that argument, even though I mock some of the more insane aspects of organized religion. Some think I mock God, but I actually don't. I mock those who mock God by using religion to sell things, like Jim Baker, for example.
You know what I haven't heard of?
What?
A single solitary synagogue doing that. Not a one. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least I haven't heard it.
Right. So, but there you go. The mark of the beast. That's very frightening.
It should be freaking criminal to be this blatantly moronic. I'm searching for words that you can use on an FM station. You know what I'm saying? It's not about you. Do we need to beat it into people's heads? It's not about your personal choice to gather. It's about you not picking something up that you can pass around without a single solitary symptom. 25%, they said. 25% of cases, people don't get any kind of a symptom, but they're spreaders. They carry it. And they spread it when they sneeze. They spread it when they cough. They spread it when they breathe. That's what it's about. It's about protecting other people. It's not about you.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people can't get that. I mean, I get really disheartened and upset because I feel like people just don't, they lack empathy. They lack the ability to give a care about other people. I don't want to have to stick around in my church. If we want to get together, we're going to get... It's my constitutional right to assemble. It may be your constitutional right to assemble, but when did your right come with the ability to invade my space with your germs because you don't want to take a responsibility for your own stuff? Period.
Right.
I'm tired of hearing it. I'm like literally sick to my stomach, tired of hearing it. And I don't know, I'm getting to a point where I'm ready to say, you know what, maybe we need to start finding people. Maybe they got a hurt in their wallet, people they'll think, because apparently giving a care about other people is not top on their list.
Well, I mean, it is inconvenient.
Oh, and you can't get that latte you wanted.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, geez, the world will come to an end if you can't buy a pair of freaking shoes.
Media has something. We were talking about this off air, but Chris Wallace of Fox News, he's, I don't know if you're, how familiar you are with Chris Wallace. He's like the token guy at Fox who actually cares about journalism. They used to have two of those, but Shepard Smith left. Chris Wallace said to the Surgeon General, apparently, doesn't Trump not wearing a mask, despite CDC recommendations, send a mixed message? And Trump did address that during the press conference. He kind of mumbled something about presidents and kings and queens and dictators don't wear masks.
No, but he backpedaled on that one. Just Sunday evening, he was like, "Oh, you know, if I need to wear a mask, I'll wear a mask." So he's doing the back and forth regard again.
But he's still not wearing a mask.
No, he's not. But their excuse now is he's been tested twice.
Mm-hmm.
Pence has been tested. They're all standing up there practicing safe distance.
They're not 6 feet apart.
So
Don't let them fool you.
I didn't think it was 6 feet either.
Don't
but
believe the hype.
you know how you can tell what
Don't
6 feet is?
don't believe the hype. Sorry, I love Public Enemy, as you know. Yeah, I'm sorry. What?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I'm tired of making excuses for other people.
Now, I said what Trump should say. If Trump just really doesn't want to wear a mask, what he should say, his excuse should be that until every American has access to a mask, because it's not like you can just go to the freaking store and buy one. Good luck. He should say until every American has access to masks, he is not going to wear one himself because he is a leader. And he will not wear a mask until
Actually, no.
all the citizens can wear a mask.
I
That's what he should say if he's not going to wear one.
No, that's absolutely sorry. But
You told me that was brilliant.
yeah, well, understanding that the virus is actually in an aerosol transmission and can be passed along through speaking, the act of you wearing a mask is not about protecting you. It's about protecting me from you.
Right.
If you want to be protected, you want me to wear a mask.
But I'm just saying that's what Trump should say. Politically, that would be a smart thing to say.
He should put one on, and then he should say, I'm going to protect all of you.
Right. No, you're missing what I'm
me.
saying. You're missing what I'm saying, though. I'm saying if he doesn't want to wear one, instead of just being like, well, I don't know, dictators don't wear them and kings and queens don't wear them. Instead of saying that, he an excuse.
Actually, what he said is he didn't think he should wear a mask when he's meeting kings and queens, and stuff like
well, but
because apparently they're going to do a lot of that in the White House these days.
oh, sure, yes, everyone's traveling so much and whatnot. No, but what I'm saying is politically it would be a smart thing if he needs an excuse. His excuse should be, out of respect for Americans who don't have access to one, I'm not going to wear one right now. That would be, I mean, it would be BS, obviously, but I'm just saying that would be a politically smart thing to say instead of just but he's not smart, so he's not going to say that.
I want to see them all wearing bandanas and cloths like they're telling everybody to do because that's real helpful.
I want to see them all wear bandanas and then break out into a performance of something from West Side Story.
The stanky leg?
Huh?
The stanky leg. Do the stanky leg dance.
Sure. I would love it. I don't think we're going to have that, but that would be great.
I don't know. The thought of seeing Trump dance. I take it back. I don't know if I want to really see that. No, I don't want to see that.
Oh, I bet he's quite a hoofer.
No.
But so here's what. So Chris Wallace posed this question to Surgeon General Vice Admiral Jerome Adams. So Surgeon General Vice Admiral Jerome Adams said that the president had made a decision that's appropriate for him in not wearing a mask when out in public after the CDC recommendation. Wallace first brought up the president talking about hydroxychloroquine and asked, quote, as the nation's top public health official, are you comfortable with people taking an unproven, untested drug, even people who don't actually have the virus? And Adams' response was, quote, we feel a little bit better regarding its safety than we do about a complete novel drug, even though this is being used at much higher doses. So we just want to be able to facilitate physicians and patients having the conversation. That's what I tell people. That's what I hear the president tell people, unquote. Wallace also brought up the CDC recommendation about civilians wearing non-medical masks, followed by showing the clip of POTUS saying he himself doesn't plan to wear it. Wallace said, quote, does that statement by the president send a mixed message about taking this recommendation seriously, unquote? And Adams emphasized that the guidelines are commentary and, quote, not a substitute for social distancing. The White House doctors and Secret Service are taking pains to make sure everyone is social distancing in regards to the president, the vice president, and each other. And so the president is making a choice that's appropriate for him, unquote. All right. Well, there you go.
And there you have it.
No mask for the president.
Yeah, but then you know what? I wouldn't be surprised to eventually see him put one on.
Oh, I would.
Because he comes out and he says one thing and then he backpedals, and I think he says what he wishes is going to happen or he'd like to be able to make happen, and then he has to be reminded that you can't control a virus.
Oh, interesting. Franklin Graham. This is also from media. Franklin Graham, who, of course, is the son of Reverend Billy Graham, says that the coronavirus pandemic is a result of a world that has turned its back on God. Well, this is terrible.
So he's mimicking the same thing that the guy from My Pillow said, because that's what he said.
Yes, and he should know. He makes My Pillow.
He made your personal pillow?
He did, actually, yes.
Really?
And he blessed it.
Holy water?
Mm-hmm.
From where?
From his bathroom, I think. He's a man of God.
Oh.
It says here, Christian evangelist Franklin Graham used an appearance on Fox News to suggest that the coronavirus is divine punishment for humanity turning its back on God. Now, we all know when these guys talk about things like divine punishment, we know what they're really talking about.
What's that?
God's mad at the gays.
Wasn't there somebody else that said that recently? Didn't we have this conversation?
I think God says it, clearly. He's very upset with gay people.
He was talking to you?
Yes. Well, I was pro-gay marriage before it was cool to be pro-gay marriage.
Do you hear voices?
So God talks to me a lot, and he says...
Like out loud?
No, in my head.
Only in your head?
In my head, he says, Matthew, I'm very upset that there's gay people, and I'm going to send COVID-19. I foresaw all of it. I didn't want to... I just don't like to brag.
Now, wait a minute. Wasn't that what they were saying about HIV? Until people who'd never been gay got HIV?
Yes.
And then, of course, children have actually been born with it.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Unless, of course, you're saying you recognize as a predisposition at birth.
What would be a predisposition?
Well, they can't have it both ways.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, I think they do believe it's God's punishment. Just sometimes some straight people get swept up in the punishment. It's like when a terrible natural disaster happens in a red state. Clearly, these are good God-fearing people who who are upset with anyone who's different from them, because that's how you get into heaven, is being sufficiently freaked out by people who are different than you are. And yet they have terrible natural disasters happen to them anyway, even though they're in red states. I thought the only way you got
into heaven was if you prayed about other people dying. Like kill all the gays.
Oh yeah. That gets you, and I'm pretty sure. It says here, speaking with Janine Pirro on Saturday night, Graham was asked to make sense of COVID-19's worldwide devastation, and the Fox host wondered, how could God allow this thing to happen? Just to remind everybody, this is on an actual, quote-unquote news program that this question is being raised. And here's was Graham's
There's a book
answer.
called When Bad Things Happen to Good People. Maybe that would help.
Maybe, yes. Graham said, quote, well, I don't think it's God's plan for this to happen. It's because of the sin that's in the world. Man has turned his back on God. We have sinned against him, and we need to ask for God's forgiveness, and that's what Easter's all about, unquote. Oh. After recalling the story of Easter, Graham continued to say, quote, this pandemic, this is the result of a fallen world, a world that has turned its back on God, unquote. Pirro reacted to Graham's call for prayer by asking the Times a moment of introspection for the world.
So basically what he's saying is the doctors and the nurses and the elderly and all these people who have died from this horrific virus.
They are godless.
Right. So the nurse and the doctor that took care of people with the disease until
heathens.
Right. So the lab assistant that was drawing blood for everybody who had COVID so they could check their blood.
Lab assistant is a heretic.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's obvious.
I think I sense a pattern here.
Yes. Clearly.
Are they direct descendants of the Puritans? I mean, just asking.
Who?
Any of these people you're talking about?
Like Franklin Graham?
Yeah.
Well, it's
funny.
what
he could be. Never know. Maybe that's what it is. It's Puritanism.
I think his dad was actually more reasonable. Like he's devolved from his father. Because I don't think Billy Graham would have said something like that. You know,
this is true.
I don't think he would.
I think the son is a little bit more on that evangelical.
Oh yeah.
Bandwagon than Dad was.
Yeah,
so to speak. But we are talking about the same people that wanted to bring students back to a campus. Actually, they did.
Mm-hmm.
They did.
Yep.
And the mega churches that have refused to stop assembling.
Yes.
I mean, it's mind-boggling.
Yes.
What I don't understand is why doesn't anybody believe in science anymore? Or we're in the 22nd century?
21st.
21st century? Okay. Close enough. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand why science doesn't matter in this day and age with the internet. Like we were talking about earlier, we have the world's largest the world's largest encyclopedia at our fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
But science doesn't count. Science tells us this disease is spread by people without any symptoms, and the ways to stop it from spreading are to isolate, to wash your hands, to do all these wonderful steps to try and stop the spread. Yet these people think that if they go to church, have a service, they will be divinely put into a bubble. That means nobody in there is going to get sick. But if they happen to spread it to 100 people when they go grocery shopping, well, too bad, too sad, they didn't go to church so they didn't get the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right? Is that how this is working for them?
Yeah, well, science is a slippery slope for these people, because if you start believing in science, then maybe you have to start believing in climate change. Maybe you have to start believing that people don't choose their sexuality, that it's something genetic. Maybe you have to start believing all kinds of things that you don't want to necessarily accept and believe. So, this science is scary stuff. That's why they treat it more like sorcery. It's the work of the devil.
That's not uncommon. I mean, there's a few of them out there that do that. Hey, look at one of the ways that they're treating people now is by taking the blood of people who have gotten the disease and now test negative and develop the antibodies for it, and then taking those antibodies and putting them into somebody else that's critically ill. And that has shown, that has worked. That has saved lives in some instances. But there are people out there in particular religious sects that are going to go, nope, don't give me that. No antibodies for me.
Right.
It's a blood product. Nope, we don't do that.
Well, that's indirectly, that's what killed Prince. Because he was a Jehovah's Witness, and unless you can figure out a way to do a is there such a
bloodless?
Thing as a bloodless transfusion?
No, you would have had to been able to do a hip replacement without the possibility of needing a blood transfusion.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, they're kind of particular about a lot of other things when it comes to surgeries and stuff. But yeah, I worked with a couple of nurses over my years that if there was a patient who needed to have a blood transfusion during the course of our shift and it was their patient, other nurses would go and hang the blood and take care of them because they would not hang the blood product.
Really?
That was a sin. That was the equivalency of, you can't give somebody else what you can't take for yourself, I guess, is what the...
At least so that's strange.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems so illogical, but then we are talking about religion.
True. and I really feel like if these people think that because they go to this building and gather and pray and sing songs and whatever the heck they think they're doing, that they get covered with some kind of a bubble that protects them from, we're not going to get sick. The Lord's going to protect us. You go to church on Sunday and you give your 10% tithing, and then God's going to protect you. We'll put you in a magic bubble.
Yeah.
And that's just crap. Absolutely junk crap. And that's exactly what's going to cause more people to die, is that kind of stupidity. That's just as stupid as thinking, oh, I'm not 40 years old. I'm only 20. I'm not going to get it, and go to the beach.
Yeah.
It really is just as ignorant.
Oh, yeah. See, if it wasn't so contagious, like if like I wouldn't, then it wouldn't be, like it wouldn't be so angering. If like when you see all the kids on the beaches in Florida for spring break, like if you knew that they were all just going to get sick, it'd be like, yeah, whatever, Darwin. But it's knowing that they can pass it to other people, family members and whomever.
It's super scary to have something in our society that is that contagious, and that contagious that it can travel around with a human being and have no symptoms.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
Have no idea that you've picked up the virus.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you go, you get the sniffles, you're coughing, you're sneezing, you get a fever, we know you're sick. But when we have absolutely no signs of illness and you don't feel bad, the fact that you can spread it around just by having conversations with people is really freaking scary.
Yeah.
And we do have to care. And it's not just about the number of people. Here's one of the things I was talking about this earlier too. Look at the number of people who have been confirmed to have cases in this. There's well over 1 million people around the world. Look at the number of people who have recovered, the recovery number. It's only a couple 100,000, I think. That's scary. That's big time scary when you consider the fact that the vast majority of people who have contracted this ailment are still sick today. A large proportion of them are having to need respirator support to be put on ventilators because they can't breathe on their own. And there's not enough people. I'm sorry. I'm not sick either. There's not enough medical people available to take care of what you're talking about. Even if you build the ventilator, if you don't have somebody that knows how to run the ventilator, what good is it?
Mm-hmm.
If you're stretching a nurse too thin, who's going to die? Because that's what's going to happen. I mean, I did this for a living for years. I worked in medicine. I worked in a critical care unit in 2 different hospitals. And I can tell you, without a doubt and with absolute certainty, the number of people who are getting put on ventilators because of this is way out of the norm, way out of anything that anybody could have ever been prepared for, unless you had a crystal ball to know this was going to happen to this extreme.
Yeah.
I never lost 13 patients in one night. Ever. Ever. I have never seen more than a couple of people get vented in one shift.
Mm-hmm.
And they're venting 1 to 2 patients an hour in some areas. This is beyond anything that we were. I mean, the skills that medical people. Don't get me wrong, the training is out there. They're doing everything to the best of their ability. But this isn't a movie, and it doesn't mean we have a happy ending. And it's going to take everybody behaving themselves and doing the one. Freaking stay home. That's all you're being asked to do is stay home. You're not being asked to go do manual labor. I mean, we can ask our relatives, our older relatives, what was it like when you were being told to watch with metals, when they gathered metals to make ammunition, and people were bringing the metals from their homes. World War II, during the, building of the great big ships, the ropes that were being created for that, the materials to grow that was coming from farms that were mandated by the government to grow hemp to make the ropes.
Yep.
All we're being asked to do is stay home.
Yeah.
Don't take the chance of picking this up and carrying it around.
Right.
And maybe you give it to the 8-year-old who's fighting leukemia. It's not worth it. Give it care. If you don't care about other people's lives, I don't know, what is that? Is that some kind of psychosis? Is there a mental condition for that? To not care?
Yeah, sociopathy, yeah.
I guess that's what you are. You're not willing to care. I don't know. I don't think that's too harsh.
Right, right.
It's not a joke. And unfortunately, there are still too many people that think it is.
Or they think it's a hoax.
Oh, those people are
There's still a lot of people who think that.
What have you been seeing?
Oh, just people who... The most common one that I see on... and I don't spend nearly as much time on social media as you might, but I see people saying, do you know anyone who has coronavirus?
I actually do.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Kevin, and I'm going to, in just a few minutes in the second half of the show, I'm going to play my conversation with Dr. Kevin from the other day, but he was saying that he's known several people who have had it. Not necessarily people that are, in his life, but people he knows online or has some sort of professional connection to. Several people. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's scary is seeing the Prime Minister of the UK, Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
He's been sick for almost 2 weeks, over 10 days.
Yeah.
And he was just within the last 24 hours put in the hospital.
Right.
because they haven't been able to break his fever.
Yeah.
This thing is worse than anything we've had to deal with. It's certainly in a couple of generations.
Yeah.
I honestly feel this is worse than the 1918 Spanish flu.
Oh, see, I wasn't alive then.
Well, no, Gooba. Seriously, you've never read anything with history? Just sometimes people, you have no idea. And we're stuck in the house. This is all the time. He has no off switch.
Boris Johnson?
No, you.
No.
Oy vey. I need Tylenol.
Well, we'll begin to wrap up the first half of the show because in the second half I'm going to present to you my recent conversation. I was on the Dr. Kevin show on Ohm Times Radio last Thursday. I'm on there the first Thursday of every month, and Dr. Kevin, of course, has been on this show many times, usually in studio with me at WMNH, which is obviously not currently a possibility, although we're going to try to set up something this week where we can have a conversation, a follow-up conversation specific to this show. But I'm going to play the segment that I was on with Dr. Kevin from last Thursday, and then tomorrow Eric Marks will be joining us by phone. But Jenny, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, and thank you, everybody. We will take a quick break, and then I will be back with my recent conversation with Dr. Kevin. Did you have anything you wanted to add or anything?
Stay healthy.
Yes, that's good advice. And stay hungry. That's
Why is that? No.
Good Twisted Sister
No,
album.
No.
You don't like Twisted Sister? Stay hungry?
Actually, no. I was never really a big Twisted Sister.
No.
I don't want people to stay. I want them to be full and happy.
Right. And stay
content.
hungry.
No.
Oh.
No.
That's bad advice?
Will you stop listening to your stomach?
Springsteen sang, they say you got to stay hungry. Well, baby, I'm just about starving to death. That's from Dancing in the Dark.
Stop.
I'm
Just
not
stop.
a big Springsteen fan either.
This is terrible.
The Boss.
No.
All right, everybody, stick around. More Unleashed coming up. on down to the Hop Knot at 1000 Elm Street, Manchester's premier craft beer and gourmet pretzel bar. Tell us more, Trudy.
We make our dough fresh every day. We make a variety of styles of pretzels and serve craft beer, cocktails, and a few bottles of wine. We do the traditional pretzel, and we have multiple flavors for that. We also do stuffed pretzels, pretzel sandwiches, free dessert pretzels, and pretzel knots.
The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan Plaza at 1000 Elm Street.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm okay. I'm, so far so good.
Good. Has the current health crisis that's shutting down the nation? I'm hoping that you and Jenny are avoiding any exposures to it and are both, well, with Jenny's already compromised issues, that you're both keeping safe and well.
Yeah, she's staying home. I have to venture out into the world a bit, but I try to be very, very smart and careful about it. Lots of hand washing. Hand washing. My hands are very, very dry and cracked, but it's what we got to do.
Yep. Well, I have a big bottle of hydrating lotion that sits right on my desk, and I am using it on a regular basis. But the COVID-19, the coronavirus, has shut down a lot of things, but the one thing it hasn't shut down is the politics of this country. It continues to go on and on and on. And as always, this is our favorite topic on the first Thursday of the month. I'll get it right. Really, I will. Is to get your take on what's going on in the political landscape, plus anything else that you would like to talk about. But definitely, what have been the top conversations on Connarton Unleashed lately?
Well, so we're in kind of a unique position with the show because, unfortunately, WMNH 95.3, which is where I broadcast from, they made the decision to suspend live programming during the stay-at-home order here in New Hampshire. So what's been happening is I'm recording the show from my studio at home and sending it to the station, and they're running it from 4 to 6. So I don't have any, so I'm not currently taking any calls on the show because it's not live, it's pre-recorded. So we did a pre-recorded show Monday and Tuesday, and then I produced a couple of new best of episodes, one that ran yesterday and one that ran today, because I do enjoy putting those together, the best ofs, and we might do a third best of tomorrow, or I might record a show, we'll see. But so just kind of taking it day by day with that, so that there's still new or somewhat new content. But I'm not actually there live at the studio, unfortunately, during the stay-at-home order. But part of the reason I'm doing the best ofs is because not only do I enjoy putting those together, but the coronavirus is completely it's kind of swallowed up everything else. And I really can't spend 2 hours a day just talking about that. You know what I mean? Did it for a couple days, and then I said, you know what, I think I'll make a couple of new best ofs to kind of break this up a little bit. You know what I mean? But so that's kind of where we're at with the show. So, yeah.
Well, I want to give I'm going to give some tips to my audience today by giving some tips to you during all of this and kind of how we're dealing with it here at the Emery Beeland Bed and Breakfast, as I like to call it sometimes. But it is a very interesting. There are some very interesting battles that are going on, and maybe depending on how things fold out, if you have a day next week where you're going to be doing a pre-recording, and we can coordinate a time that works in my schedule, I'll call in and you can kick some stuff around for your pre-recording.
Oh, that would be great. We can definitely do that. Yeah.
Yeah, you and I always find a few things to talk about.
Yes.
Out there. So I am going to, before the show is over, I'm going to be sharing some stuff that I'm doing and some stuff that I'm recommending to my clients, and that, the ways that we're dealing, and again, in this household, with the whole issue. And therefore, hopefully get some, good solid advice and thoughts out to people. But I do want to poke at the political landscape. So Mitch McConnell is blaming the impeachment, that's why Trump and the Senate didn't do anything about coronavirus because the Dems were distracting them. That's been his latest statement I've heard. Hannity says that he's been completely blunt and honest all along, and he never played down anything as he's coming under attack, and people are calling that he should be fired. And of course, a lot of people are saying that Trump has blood on his hands because our government was notified on December 31st, 2019, that this pandemic was getting ready to happen. And we didn't do really jack of anything until the middle of March.
Right.
In the middle of March. And so, we ended up 2.5 months behind the curve, which is going to exponentially increase the number of cases that are caught and the number of deaths that happen. I mean, it's just a math. I mean, we've already gotten 26,000 new cases, which, and today, I mean, in the last 18 hours, there's been 25,000 new cases, and, we're getting ready to break 6,000 deaths. And so, and yet people are still minimizing it. But how do you think, and the Dems have postponed their caucus and their primary, who we're going to put up to run against Trump to August.
The convention. Yeah.
Convention. Yeah, I knew. There was a word there somewhere. It was rolling around in my mouth. So talk to me about the political landscape, Matthew. This is your area of specialty.
Well, I mean, the coronavirus has kind of swallowed up everything, including our presumptive Democratic nominee, Joe Biden. I mean, politically, this is terrible for him. I mean, he, where is he? And by the way, in fairness to him, and I don't mean where is he as in he's not making an effort to be visible. I mean, he can't be out there doing campaign rallies. And he did, he kind of went dark for a couple weeks, and the reason we were given was they were building a makeshift television studio thing, room in the basement of his house, so that he could kind of beam in on these different shows and appear that way on these different news shows. But then when he does, I don't know if you've seen any of his appearances on these shows, but he doesn't have anything to offer. Biden, he when we do see him, he just comes across as an empty suit. He forgets what he's talking about in the middle of a sentence. There was this awful moment where he was. This was not on a cable news show, but it was something that his campaign was streaming on either on YouTube or Facebook. I'm not sure where he's basically at a podium in his basement giving a speech, and he lost his place, on the teleprompter and whatnot. And it's just, the guy inspires zero confidence. And, as far as non-health related casualties in this whole thing, I think Joe Biden is probably at the top of the list. I mean, as badly as Trump mishandled everything at the beginning by just kind of blowing it off, saying it'll just wash through, to use his exact words and whatnot, as awful as Trump's handling was of this initially, and in some ways going forward even, Biden, when he does talk about what he would do, he sounds like he's talking about the same things Trump is already doing. He's got nothing to offer. And Trump might actually be, and I don't like Trump and I want him gone, so I take no joy in saying this, but Trump might actually be, because of this extenuating circumstance, the first sitting president in modern American history to have the economy completely tank, and he won't get blamed for it. Because usually it doesn't matter how popular you are, how high your approval ratings are. If the economy goes south, you're done. That's what happened to George H.W. Bush. He had a 90% approval rating after the first Gulf War, and he appeared to be unbeatable. And then the economy fell off a cliff, and Bill Clinton became our next president. Trump might actually be the first president to have the economy totally tank and not get blamed for it. And by the way, technically, in this instance, it would be unfair to put all the blame on him. Meanwhile, Biden has been completely swallowed up by this whole thing. So Trump might be, I mean, I've been predicting he would win a second term anyway. Again, I take no joy in saying that, but now I really think it's more likely than ever. I mean, even if Trump completely mishandles every aspect of this going forward, he's not going to get blamed for the economy. And Biden, it seems useless. So, I don't know. It's such a strange thing that we're living through. And politically, I mean, it's really turned everything upside down. And by the way, I know there's polls that show Biden still ahead, but that's not going to last. Not with these disastrous cable news appearances he's doing. So,
well, I've only got 3 words to say about that. You want to know what they are?
I do.
Any guesses?
Wait and see.
Pete.
Oh, you want what? You want him to pick Pete for his VP?
No.
Oh.
I'd like to see him still get the nomination to run for president.
Well, so I'm afraid that option has been taken off the table, Dr. Kevin. I don't think that's.
August is a long way away.
Well, if it's not Biden, it's going to be Bernie.
Well, what happens if Biden and Bernie don't survive?
Oh, well, that got dark. My goodness. Well, then.
Let's face it. They're both right in the target group for this not surviving very well. I mean, I'm not wishing anything on either one of them. Do not get me wrong.
No, but they are right. But you're suggesting they are as good as dead, I think is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I would not see either one of those. With Bernie's latest health issue and then Biden's considerably, what I would say is, a somewhat frail health, and at his age, that, we could end up having to look for a new candidate by August.
Right. Just to be clear, you're not wishing that on anybody. You're just saying that most likely. Odds are high they'll both be dead soon. This is what you're saying.
Odds are high. I'm saying that the potential is there.
Right. All right. Dr. Kevin, I got a shovel in the back of my Jeep. We could, if you want, we could start digging their graves.
No. I think if you give them enough time, they may just dig their own grave.
Okay. All right.
I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, yes, Trump can't be held completely responsible for tanking this economy, but his inaction is going to make the economy tank more than it needed to.
Oh, absolutely.
There's going to be more cases. There's going to be more deaths. And I don't think they'll stop fumbling the ball out of the White House. And I think, that, I don't know. I don't know that he's going to, I don't think it's as a sure thing that he's going to get reelected as it was before March. I think that this could still end up being a huge stumbling block. And I think it depends on how, and it should be. And I think it depends on how this goes. I mean, right now we're seeing key areas, we're seeing places, California is starting to come up. New York is obviously still at the height, and you're having other places, but you're starting to see some major infiltration into more of the red states and more of the middle of the country, and some people may not be quite as forgiving or as mesmerizing when somebody they know and loves dies because the government couldn't get them their medical ventilator supplies.
Right.
Here on Ohm Times. As always, the first Thursday of the month is the time when I get to hang out with my good friend, Matt Connarton. Oh, did I say that out loud? I hate it when I do
that. Yes.
Oh, I suppose you're a good friend. Are you a good friend, Matt?
I think I'm a great friend.
Okay. Well, I'm not gonna do anything to get rid of your delusions.
I don't even criticize you when you say these terrible things about Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. So I think that's a great friend.
So first of all, I do want to make it very clear that I'm not wishing anybody to die, but I do think that the landscape is going to be changing in ways that we cannot even begin to think of. And I think that we are far from over with this. I would not bet the farm that Trump is going to get reelected through all of this. I think that there's still a lot of stuff that's coming out. I mean, we do know that China's lying about the numbers. We know Russia's lying about the numbers. And we know that North Korea, well, it doesn't even know that it's lying about the numbers, but it's lying about the numbers.
Right.
But however you look at it, we're not looking pretty because we really dropped the ball on this, and there's no way that that's not going to get hammered, and there's no way that people's lives aren't going to be touched in a way that makes them question the competency of this president. And this is a highly stressful time, and I just think that this is going to be a wear and tear on a lot of situations. And I think that we could have a surprise. I think that there still could be a surprise in August, and I think that we could still look at that a lot of things are going to shift over in November. And, of course, we know that if elections don't happen, that on January 20th, Pelosi becomes president. So because that's how the Constitution's written. So, from that standpoint, it's not like we don't have our possibilities. And, people are talking about on social media, well, post positive things. What do you get out of, still trying to make, point out that, take a swing at the president or, making it, about where he dropped the ball and he's making up for that now. And no, he's not. He's not making up for it now. And the fact that he's making his daily briefings, and I love the fact that more places are cutting out and only cutting into his daily briefing when the actual people that know what they're talking about come on. And they won't even give him the time of day to be on the on the briefing. And I think that every news outlet should do that, except Fox, because Fox deserves to be stuck with having to listen to him. But there's a lot of upheaval left to come, and I think there's a lot of unknowns. And when people say, when I post things, and I posted something today, which was an interview with a doctor about this, who said, no, we blew it, we sat on it. South Korea, they immediately did the right thing. How can South Korea get more tests to its people than we can?
Yeah, South Korea
contain
did
it
very well. They did very well. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's because we got diagnosed with a case of coronavirus on the same day. Look at them, look at us. What's the difference? And so when I put these things out, and people say, "Oh, let it go, leave it alone," or "This is not what we need." No, it's what we need right now. Remember the people who died that might not have died when it's time to vote in November. And I will be carrying the biggest sign I can find to say just that. And I will not be carrying those signs alone.
Yeah, agreed. The only thing about South Korea, though, is culturally, it's a little different there. Like, they're much more, I don't know if deferential is the right word, to the government, but they were able to do things that we probably wouldn't go for here. In terms of when someone was found to have coronavirus, and then the government comes in and forces that individual to quarantine, and then they do the contact tracing, and the individual who's quarantined isn't allowed to, they have to wear an ankle bracelet, and they're not allowed to leave their home or even venture very far outside. And if they're caught doing that, then the ankle bracelet goes off and the authorities come and, lock them up somewhere or something. Like South Korea was able to go, I mean, it's not North Korea, not to be confused with North Korea, but South Korea, they're pretty, they're, compared to what we have, their government, I think, is in some ways could be described as oppressive. And, I can't quite find the exact word that I'm looking for. It'll come to me. But, because oppressive isn't the right word either. But they were able to do things that we just wouldn't be able to do here. And I'm not making excuses, because I agree with you that this was mishandled at the beginning and in some ways has continued to be. I don't dispute any of that. But South Korea was able to, in fairness, they were able to do some things that we would not be able to do here. People would be howling about this and that being unconstitutional if we did some of the things that South Korea was able to implement.
No doubt. And I do not disagree with you at all. I do think, however, if we had been as getting aggressively prepared as they were.
Yes.
And getting it out there and not giving 3 months, 2.5 months. Well, really, we were told December 31st, 2019 it was coming. That's when we were told it was coming.
Yeah.
But if on January 2nd, there would have been, okay, it's time to put the pandemic team back together. Okay, what do we need? Let's get a bunch of people over here, and let's start planning and get ready. We would be in such a much better position now.
Oh, absolutely.
And it would have saved lives.
Yes. I think, I think Trump figured that. I think Trump figured that because we were moving into spring, I think he very naively and stupidly thought, oh, well, this will be just it's just like the flu. It's just going to kind of go away. As cold and flu season winds down, this problem will take care of itself. And clearly he was wrong. And then, of course, too, you know, everybody who follows him just, you know, if Trump says, oh, it's a Democratic hoax, then they all go, oh, yeah, of course. Actually, Trish, if I've got her name right, Trish Regan from Fox News Business, she actually got fired because even after the other jackasses there, like Hannity, finally backed off on calling it a Democratic hoax, she continued to push that. And they actually fired her over it. Or maybe they just suspended her, but I think they gave her the boot, which is good. Too little, too late. Hannity should have been fired. I mean, that kind of thing endangers lives when you put that out there, and then you got a bunch of idiots who believe it. And there's still people who believe it, and they're threatening now. Did you see this? Dr. Fauci, they had to hire security for Dr. Fauci because some of these idiots are angry at him because they think that he's part of the conspiracy. If it's all a conspiracy to bring down Trump. These people are nuts.
Yeah. Oh, my God, yeah. And, you know, what is it? So I heard about the whole security for Dr. Fauci. Like, you know, like it's his fault that they elected an idiot to office. But, you know, I mean, look at what happened. Was it at Liberty University? Oh, we'll be fine, and I'm calling the students back, and all the Jerry Falwell Jr. crap, and then a whole bunch of them got COVID. And they went running for the hills. And, you know, and these, I'm sorry, nutcase preachers. Oh, this is God's house. You can't catch COVID here. We're God's hospital. I mean, really. But there are still people out there that are some up in Maine. I don't know whether you heard this or not, but in an island in Maine, these three young men that have been working there for months in New Jersey, that were from New Jersey, and they had a New Jersey license plate on their car. But they've been up in Maine working construction for months, like before any of this broke out. Well, it suddenly registered to one of the locals that there was a New Jersey car parked at one of these houses on their island. And they cut down a tree and they blocked their driveway and they interfered with their phone and their internet. And they had to call the police and they had to be rescued from a town mob.
Wow, really?
Because they were trying to, you know, they didn't want them bringing that COVID here. And I'm just like, oh, what is that mentality? But we look at things like gun stores are essential. Since when have gun stores been an essential service? Well, they are now. Right?
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. It's not my hill to die on, personally. Like, I don't mind, you know, I don't mind them being considered essential. I'm not upset about it. It's fine. People, you know, because if you close the gun stores, then you got all these people getting angry about, I think it would create a larger problem than it would solve. Let me put it that way. If you didn't leave the gun stores alone, because then people get, they're getting ready to take away our guns. That's why they're closing them. You know what I mean? I'm fine with the gun stores being open. It's less headaches for those of us who are reasonable than to have to listen to all the nuts going, they're going to take away our guns. This is the first step.
Yeah, but
it's fine.
You heard about the guy who shot up the other guy's car because that guy was trying to hit him with his car because they were arguing about the fact that he didn't cover his mouth when he coughed.
No, I didn't hear about that. I missed that. Where was that? Do you know?
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I mean, some crazy things. And the fact that ammunition sales have gone up and gun sales have gone up. I mean, like, not everybody. I know people that own guns, and I'm not I think people should be allowed to own guns in a reasonable way, but this is just crazy. And there's going to be this increased violence. And, you say keeping the gun stores open, sounds like may not inflame some of the people that are likely to get violent, but I'm saying it's also an awful lot of easy access that I don't think that some of these nutcases should have. But you still have people, and I still see them. I still see them on the internet. I still, hear them or hear about them, different things that are still trotting out some of the crazy things that Trump said and still says.
Yeah.
I mean, this man should be arrested for whatever it is they arrest you for when you yell fire in the theater and there isn't a fire.
Yeah, public endangerment. Yeah.
Public endangerment. The man's he's a walking, talking public endangerment.
I have been, I think though, I don't think, and I hope you're wrong, and I hope I'm right about this. I don't think we're going to see. I mean, you'll see isolated incidents of violence, sure, but I don't think we're going to see a lot of that. And I have to say, Dr. Kevin, and I'm curious if you agree on this. One silver lining about this that I think is actually really good is I've just been almost pleasantly surprised. Definitely pleasantly by the way that the country overall. I mean, yeah, you've got nuts and you've got wackos and people who think it's a conspiracy and all that, but overall in the macro, I think we've done very well, and I'm really glad. I feel like the overall vibe in the country right now is and continues to be, no matter how bad it gets, I feel like the overall vibe is, wow, this really, really, really sucks, and it's really scary, and it's awful, but we're going to get through it. We are going to get through it. I really feel like that's kind of the general vibe, and I think that people overall, they're being positive about it. They're being optimistic about it. You see incredible stories about people helping each other and people looking out for each other far more than there are negative stories about people, some guy shooting somebody or whatnot. There's so many positive stories, and I think it's really brought out the best in a lot of people. So, and I feel good about that. There hasn't been any rioting and looting breaking out, because history tells us very often that's the reaction that people have when they feel powerless. When something is out of their control, they start rioting and looting, which is bizarre. It doesn't make any sense or accomplish anything, but we haven't seen anything even approaching that. Everybody's very chill. Well, not literally everybody. Again, there are exceptions, but I'm talking broadly. Overall, and people are just like, wow, this is awful. The economy's going into the toilet. This is terrible. But we are going to get through it. And I think that's great. I feel good about the country for that reason.
So I am at a mixed bag place, and I'm going to tell you why. I think that one of the things I want to talk about, you asked, I think that we are seeing both the best, some of the best sides of man, and I think that we are far from the fact that we are going to see some of the worst sides of man before it's done as well. I think that we are looking as this spreads, and unfortunately, and I don't try to be a negative doomsayer, and stuff like this. And I want to be positive, and I want to keep a positive attitude, and I want to keep a want the best. And I'm going to switch this whole conversation to some of the things I'm doing, dealing with the COVID thing in just a minute to help with what I'm talking about. But I think as this hits more rural places where sometimes you don't have hospitals for 50 miles, where if you hit places where there's more poverty, where there's lower education level, where there is less access to service and information and support, where it may do more damage because there's more overall health issues. And one of the things I don't hear anybody talking about that I think is one of the highly susceptible classes in this country to end up watching it be fatal are all these kids that are vaping, that have been vaping, because this thing just kills your respiratory system, your lungs. And so if you're a vapor or even a smoker, but vaping, I think they're actually showing as worse, and you get exposed to this, oh, yeah, you're going to see the numbers. So you're going to see a whole new class of vulnerable, who's being considered vulnerable for this thing. And so, but I think that we also are more or less having it in areas where, yes, they're falling behind, and yes, there are definitely some of the things present, but I think that you also have more services and you have more somewhat calming voices and you have more things going on. And so I'm not sure. But we have been seeing some of the best of people in this. But I don't think that we're over from seeing some of the worst of people. And, this rise in Asian American violence, the guy that just shot in a Costco or something in Arizona, this guy, shot this young Asian couple and their 2 kids, killed them because he thought they were bringing the coronavirus to him.
Oh, wow.
That Asian flu.
Yeah. I think Trump is, he finally stopped that, didn't he, though? Didn't he stop calling it the Chinese virus?
I won't listen to him.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I know.
I don't have a strong enough stomach.
Yeah.
I listen to Fauci.
Dr. Birx.
So, I will get my information where I can, but I won't listen to him. First of all, you can't trust a damn thing that comes out of his mouth. And
Agreed.
I'm not going to listen to him do this as a did you see how good my numbers are? Better than The Bachelor. I can't. I literally can't. I would seriously throw up if I listened to the man right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is, but no, Matt, I think it's far from over. I think we're going to see as it moves out. Now, do I make sense when I say my reasoning behind why I think this? Or do you think I'm just being a downer, a pessimist?
No, I think it's reasonable to think that and say that. I just, I'm trying to look on the sunny side of life, Dr. Kevin, because, what else do we have?
I've moved a lot of my classes online.
Yeah.
And I started my first class, went online last night, called Surviving in a Toxic World. It gives a lot of it, we're doing it right now, and we're probably going to put it out so people can choose to take the class after the fact that it was live. We did the live class last night, and I'll either do it live again. because it's been a while since I've done online classes, and the technology was all new and different, and and there's always a little bit of a scale up to get really into doing things in a new and different way. Though I have done online classes, I got several online classes out there. But surviving in a toxic world, and it talks about how the viruses of the mind and the heart and the spirit contribute to the susceptibility of the body to get a virus and the damage it can done. And I also talk about the viruses in humanity right now, and that we have to refuse to catch them. One of the viruses of humanity is this bigotry that leads somebody to shoot 4 American Asians.
Right.
This is a humanity virus, but we need to name it. We need to talk about it. We need to be out there, and we need to try to be making reasonable thoughts that maybe will just help with somebody that's good, that's getting ready to lose it and be irrational because they're in fear, and it's the fear of the unknown. And where do they come from? Who can I trust? And all of these things that, the human psyche is frail. And it doesn't take a lot sometimes to decompress it, depending on how strong it was to start with. And again, I'm not trying to be a downer. I want to be a realist here, which is one of the reasons I put my classes online. I mean, I figured out pretty quickly I'm an essential service because my business is crazy busy. Good. And, and I don't have to put classes online. I'm putting classes online because, yes, I'll make money off them. People pay to take my classes. But I'm not doing it so I can make my mortgage. My client practice keeps me quite busy, but I want to get the information out there. I want to get the knowledge out there.
Right.
And I have started in what I call it, I got a very strong message to do an energetic potluck. And every morning, 90 minutes before the sunrise, I create an energetic space. And I ask anybody who wants to put in any kind of healing that they do, prayers, whatever. The only requirement is that it is for the betterment of the planet and humanity. No individual people, no individual agendas, no judgment, just whatever is in the highest and best good of the planet and humanity. I do this every morning. I'm doing it every morning from now until solstice. So right now it's around 5 in the morning. And it's not on, I promoted it online to get as many healers involved as possible, but I am not doing it online. No one has to get out of bed. A lot of people have healing modalities. They could even program it to show up.
Yeah.
And then the energy gets released with the rising sun, on the East Coast, because that's where I am, but I was told to do it. And I'm getting ready to release something else called Dr. Kevin's Spiritual Power Hour, where I'm going to, as many days of the week, do 1 hour, and it's going to open with a meditation, and it's going to talk about some kind of spiritual subject or inspiration or motivation, and I'll take some questions for anybody that shows up for it, and then I'm going to end it with a healing meditation. And and I'm asking for $10 to cover costs and technology and all of that stuff. I want people to have a place to go. I mean, one of the people that attended last night, reached out and told me that I helped ground her and make her feel better in these uncertain times. And I think that we have a responsibility to be practical, pragmatic, spiritual, and kind, not airy-fairy, and we need to keep the message strong, and we need to be willing to assign accountability. And, when I was talking about the viruses of the spirit, the viruses of humanity, and these hate-based religions are right at the top of my list. And that are out there and are so arrogant. I mean, you're still getting 1,000 people together.
Oh, I know. Oh.
I mean, this doesn't just affect those 1,000 people. This
right,
affects
exactly.
10,000 people in your area.
Exactly. It's incredibly selfish what they do.
Yes, it's incredibly selfish, and it's got to be called out, not to be mean, but to try to raise the level of ignorance. But
yeah.
But again, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna be offering. I don't know if I'll be able to do it every day or not. But as many days as I can, I'm going to be offering the Spiritual Power Hour. And because I have clients all over, all over the world, I'm going to be offering at different times during the day, every day, so that one day I'll offer it at, 7 a.m. and catch clients maybe in Europe that I have. And one day I'll offer it at 9 o'clock at night. And then people can always go and just do it whenever they want. They can always go do it afterwards if they don't do it live, and they can still do the meditation and do stuff like that. But those of us that are out there trying to do good things in the world, we can't quarantine crawl into our corner and talk to our angels and cover our head till it passes. We can quarantine that we're not going to physically go and fit 1,000 people into a room and give them a little handkerchief and tell them that God bless the handkerchief so they don't have to worry about COVID before they drop like flies. If we would just only kill the stupid. But those of us that are out there doing things in the world, or like this, trying to bring light, love, healing, trying to bring inspiration, motivation, we have to be on the front lines. We are an essential service. Giving people something, but it can't be something pretend. Oh, we'll be open by Easter. The churches will be full. No, that doesn't do anybody any good.
Nope.
It's got to be realistic. Early on, when this was just barely hitting Washington, and I would have clients that would ask me and they'd say, what do you think about this? And I'm going, we are all going to know people who have died before it's over.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm up to 5 or 6 now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But,
no kidding.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Now, none of them were in my inner circle. None of them were close to me, but these are people I shared a stage with or a dais with or belonged into a group with, people that No. And if we ask around, we'll probably, you remember so-and-so, you met him there? Yeah, they got COVID and died. And then, of course, we all feel like that little loss when somebody's famous gets COVID and died, because we all feel like sometimes like we know the famous person, even though we really don't.
Right.
So I do have a question for you, Matthew. Did you get a copy of my newsletter that came out this last week?
I don't recall seeing it.
Because it came out almost a week. It came out last Friday. So I'm going to ask you and all the listeners, if you would like to I'm putting out a monthly newsletter with a video message, with links to all my online classes and the things I do. Go to My Dr. Kevin. And I'm going to ask you to do that, Matt, and I'll privately forward you a copy of it because I'd like you to get your feedback on it always.
Cool.
Yeah. But go to mydrkevin.com and sign up, and you can get one of the 3 free ebooks. If you want to download for signing up, it's there. But I'm starting my newsletter again so that I can go out there and hopefully give hope and inspiration and inspire and knowledge to people.
Excellent. Well, we need it.
Come on down to the Hop Knot at 1000 Elm Street, Manchester's premier craft beer and gourmet pretzel bar. Tell us more, Trudy.
We make our dough fresh every day. We make a variety of styles of pretzels and serve craft beer, cocktails, and a few bottles of wine. We do the traditional pretzel, and we have multiple flavors for that. We also do stuffed pretzels, pretzel sandwiches, free dessert pretzels, and pretzel knots.
The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan Plaza at 1000 Elm Street.
Let the tale be told about a bold heroic deed in the days when fear and panic festered. We were sheltering in place and wondering how on earth we'd feed our family with all of us sequestered. But some stores set up senior hours to give them a head start, to make sure they weren't crowded and could shop 6 feet apart. So just when we thought everything was lost, oh, came the day that Grandma braved the line at Costco. Most businesses were closed and no one went out anymore. The streets were empty, looking almost haunted. And even when we dared to try the local grocery store, they didn't have the stuff we really wanted. But we were down to our last roll of toilet paper, so one feisty senior citizen decided she would go in search of 1-ply, 2-ply, or embossed. Oh, that's the day that Grandma braved the line at Costco. We offered to go with her, but she said,
I'll go alone, and you've got work to do, hon. I'll be fine. Besides, I've got a bunch of games uploaded on my phone, and I love to chat with all the folks in line. That's true, she loves to chat with folks online, or in the library, or walking down the street. In fact, she could make small talk with a potted plant. So she set off with her shopping bags, her walker, and her list, and hit the line an hour before they'd open. She plotted out her route like a devout cartologist to get provisions for which we were hoping. She made a beeline for the paper products naturally. She had to wrestle a 90-year-old for the last pack of TP as random stuff into her cart she tossed. Oh, the day that Grandma braved the line at Costco. But when she got out, there was hardly anybody there. She could have slept in late and not be crowded. Well, what the heck, it makes a real great story she can share, and at least I got to write a song about it, even with a key change. So now we've got a year's supply of blueberries and kale, 4 dozen eggs, we go through a lot of them. She even noticed now they've got some nice hot tubs for sale, but Costco makes you buy a dozen of them. Still, now we've got enough to eat, we've even got reserves. We can get back to work and back to getting on each other's nerves without needing our canned goods to exhaust. Oh, thanks to the day that Grandma braved the line at Costco. She got a case of scotch so we can all get sloshed. Oh, the day that Grandma braved the line at Costco. Plus dental products so our teeth can be well flossed. Oh, the day that Grandma braved the line at Costco. Okay, good rhymes by now I did exhaust. Oh, singing about Grandma braving the line at Costco.
Oh my, the nepotism poster boy.
You seem uniquely unprepared. Your lack of knowledge makes me scared. Jared, 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 little in common we have shared. You have no soul that could be buried. Jared, Jared. have you none. Jared, it worries me that overhaul you just haven't a clue. And there'll be countless dying before you're done. Jared, since with Ivanka you got parried, you're about as rich as old King Herod. Jared, 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 you friends in countries that are arid, they're not so nice as if you cared. Jared, 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 security clearances had to be fixed for you. Skeletons in your closet kept popping out. It seems that your self-interest may play a role in the things that you do. And you've the personality of a trout.